Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our allied playthrough. In the last episode, we took on the UK and India as the invasions of Spain, France, and I guess now Yugoslavia continued. God, the UK has a lot on its plate. India too, but I kind of still lump them in. Even though this game for some reason decided to separate it, it's still a British colony, so it still falls in with the UK in my mind. Now we can go look at our beautiful war in the Pacific, as we have, yep, that's the same battleship that came down here to start assaulting my units. Although, for all the assaults that it wants to do, one thing it still can't do is stop me from being able to upgrade and reinforce my units. So let's see, we do have a number of things like that to do. We will reinforce the 6th Army here. I will prioritize reinforcing the 23rd before giving it any upgrades. We will take the 13th Army. Oh, okay, I was going to move it up here, but due to the fact that it's mountains and snow, apparently I can't make it that far. So, let's go ahead and attack the enemy corps, triggering the defensive artillery, I know. Taking 1 damage and unfortunately dealing none, but we can swap out with the one to the north. And, well, his odds are not that great either, unfortunately. Breaking through the Japanese is going to be fun. Being in shitty terrain is fun. Being in the middle of the winter, also fun. And I'm learning, because right now the Chinese HQs can only take on so many tasks, I might even want to send secondary HQs up to all of these fronts. We certainly have the HQs to manage it. It would allow me to be more efficient on any one front at any given time. However, I only have one HQ really ready to go anywhere. Although I can certainly get another one ready to go. Now that Haikou is secured and no longer a front, I can get the Chu HQ to go assist the Sun HQ, and I can get either the Zhu or Zhu HQ. For starters, I will go ahead and take the Zhu HQ, put that on a transport, and sail it down here to Nagasaki. That way it can help spread supply and whatnot, and also take my current present Air Force under its wing. No pun intended, but we need to be able to spread things here better, especially if we end up moving and actually progressing down the line here. More room will open up, and having more HQs will just become important. I will take the Chu HQ. We're going to operate that and send that up to Busan so we can prepare a transport to go up north, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The perfect number so far for all of this. However, as we progress, we'll certainly end up wanting more. We are now getting access to mobility upgrades. However, those mobility upgrades are not going to be actually very useful with what we're dealing with. They might help with moving through the hills. I'm not going to prioritize getting that the same way I'm going to prioritize getting infantry weapons level 2, because we're mostly just moving through mountain, where we just need to take step by step incremental improvements. We also have AA defense upgrades. Those could actually be really, really handy. This corps has certainly gotten some time to entrench, I'm sure. Something to keep in mind. We'll go ahead and move the infantry up, and we'll find, holy crap, engineers, tactical bombers, and army. This is going to take a while to get through. We'll take the 1st heavy artillery and move that down to Hakodate, where it can provide defensive, what's the word? Defensive firing, I guess? Defensive firing. And we can go ahead and upgrade the Dare to Die Special Forces with everything, including mobility, because if they have mobility, that will allow me to, for example, if we get injured, move out of the front, and vice versa, and allow me to actually continue poking and prodding at the enemies here, despite how it goes, without needing to worry about this bad situation and movement that we suffered by Haikou. Mobility will essentially make it a non-issue. We're also getting a better look at the enemy units and where they are and how they're placed. We'll focus on hunkering down at these 2 fronts, pushing to Tokyo for the time being, while worrying about trying to open up any more fronts later. We'll upgrade the AA and mobility of this army back here before getting it reinforced. The AA can also get defense upgrades, which makes it look much different. And some mobility. Not the most important thing to do, but something to do. We also did finish a lot of research. And I am already spending all my money in like no time flat. So there's not a lot of it that we can continue to do. However, most of what we do have to do is not excessively important for any of our units. Still, would be nice to get some of it going. However, once again, not particularly important. Right now, I've gotten basically all the upgrades and stuff I want to the Chinese units in Japan. So I can instead go for more of other upgrades that cost less. We can't get any of the 175s. The 175s could be useful, but not with most of the stuff that we have. What I think I'll go for is either some more AA defense, because this would be useful for all my units, especially with dealing with the enemy air superiority and our lack of fighter coverage in general, or aerial warfare to buff up our fighters. What I'm thinking is the AA defense. If we're focusing land units mostly as China, because we can't really have an air force, we don't have that capability as them. So this would be more important to them in the long run than buffing up their air units or allowing the fighters to run more of anything or what have you. Hell, yo, even our attack bombers have terrible odds going up against this Musashi battleship. We're out of MPPs, so there's not much else to do back here or anything. We don't have any units to deploy as these guys and no money to operate anything. For now, I guess I think I moved this guy here intentionally to move the second corps. Oh yeah, we were going to get the army out. I see. Second corps down to Pakoi, get this army out of Haikou, get this corps down to Haikou, and get the L Corps, the famous L Corps, over to Pakoi. In the long run, we can certainly bleed out the Japanese, because as we look at the convoys, we see when they got the DEI up, and when they got, whatever this was, the Philippines up, they got back up to like 80 MPPs from convoys a turn, and now they've lost most of that. They've lost all their convoy income. They still have some gains that can be seen elsewhere, probably just income from locations separate to convoys, I'm sure, but with America still going to be focusing special force units and then maybe even getting an HQ for something else over here. I don't know, we'll see. If Europe falls first, we can certainly divert a lot of forces over here, that's for sure. Whatever that's worth. The Soviets won't be very useful, I know that much. But that aside, the Americans should be able to handle everything over here. If we can just secure this, then we can get MacArthur dedicated to moving on some other fronts as well. Maybe to retaking the Philippines, as I believe he historically did. We do have a lot to look at here with our fleet. The enemy cruiser that was here got away from us. It went southwest, which means it probably went far enough to get to a port. It might have even naval cruised. We have 3 potential options for it to have landed at. Over here at Rabaul. Over here at Buin. We know there was a submarine there. That's something to keep in mind. So if we do chase after this heavy cruiser, we do need to remember the potential of there being a submarine there. We don't need to worry too much about getting ships up here, although that can be handy to us. But first, primarily what could be especially handy to our subs is getting the second advanced subs upgrade. That would be especially handy to what we have over here. So I think I will take all my subs in the region, and we're gonna all go back to Pearl, where we can get any replacements, and also the advanced sub level 2, which I do believe that we acquired, right? Yes, we did. We did acquire that. We also finished AA defenses level 2. I'll go ahead and start researching America down that line as well. We have a lot of injured ships over here. Can this reach anything? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably not. Probably can't reach anything with this stuff, unfortunately. So we might just want to cycle our ships back. We do know for a fact that that heavy cruiser did get away. It would be very expensive for them to actually repair. So long as we keep our fleet in this region and take a more proactive approach in using it to defend our special forces, none of them should get ambushed ever again. And even if they do, we've destroyed so much of the Japanese naval power, only damage would be able to be done. And even then, you know, they'd just be falling into a trap that would lose them a ship in exchange for a land unit that we could replace pretty easily, whereas their replacement capability is not quite the same. So with that in mind, we will set you to fighters. We will also set you to intercept only. I like setting to intercept only. It's pretty handy. We will move that carrier back. Almost everything here is injured in some way after that massive fight. So we're going to definitely want to prepare ourselves. The Leary Destroyer has been repaired, so I'll go ahead and move that out. We'll get the Aylwin Destroyer. Oh, it doesn't even have to naval cruise to get there. Right there. Do we have any more destroyers? We do. The Somers Destroyer, which we'll go put right about here. Guarding primarily the carrier, which, by the way, we do have a new one. The Essex carrier has arrived. That is definitely going to the Pacific as well. The Japanese, as we see, still have some fight left in them, so we'll deploy the Essex down here over at San Diego, where they might block some transporting capability. Probably not. Probably not. What upgrades can you get? AA defense? Alright, sure, why not? Get your AA defense while you're here, you guys. That'd be pretty nice for you. AA defense level 2. I'll probably be getting that for a lot of the American fleet. There's going to be a lot of that as I cycle ships in and out over here. But it's not the most important thing now that the enemy carrier fleet is pretty much destroyed. We'll take the Brooklyn light cruiser here. Probably don't even need a force. Yeah, no, we'll just send it right up here where it'll be nice and safe. And aside from that, we just have like heavy cruisers as a screen where we can fully block off the carrier from any danger. Now what we really want to do is we really just want to go ahead and get these battleships somewhere that they're going to be safe. Especially because a lot of them are injured. And behind Pearl Harbor is generally a safe place to be. Let's focus the ones that are actually like injured. Because there's a lot of them that took a lot of damage. And we'll get them just hiding behind the place. Now that we don't need to worry about carriers, that certainly helps. But we do need to worry about enemy submarines. The Japs certainly still have a large submarine fleet that's out there that can be problematic. The Massachusetts will go hide in this port. At least one of them can hide in the port. Tuscaloosa heavy cruiser. Can it just get that far normally? No, it cannot. We'll come around this side. Form as a little injured screen around the back. There you go. We'll get a non-injured screen, the Astoria, actually blocking this pass off. We'll get the Texas, which is actually not injured at all, up by the front, as well as the New York, which can go right over here. That brings all of our ships back over here. A lot of upgrades that we could need to do. Might be useful to actually send some ships all the way back here to use these ports, but not in a rush, to be honest. Nothing we need to worry about too much. We mainly just need to get some other units up and ready. I'll take the 3rd Marine tanks here, which are not going to be too useful over here in our plans in the Pacific. We will send them to South America, where they will be able to pass through the canal. We will make sure we get in long-range amphibious transports. This army, this one cannot actually get in a transport right now. We can start moving things forward, although our opportunities to get very far are limited. We'll move the Bradley HQ up into Bermuda. It's probably the most important one to get moving forward. We'll move the 1st Army forward the very little bit forward that it can go. We'll get the 2nd Army around to Miami for the time being. As we get these things ready. I don't believe there's any other land units that need to be moved over here. No, there doesn't appear to be. There's the Mexican Corps that will keep their current course and stay where they are going. We'll also go ahead as America and remake the 2nd Marine Division Special Forces with all the upgrades that it can get. It's not going to be the same reform because that equipment sank at sea, but we'll go ahead and purchase this nonetheless now that we know that we're going to need stuff over there. That leaves us with 227, not enough to get a fully upgraded Special Forces again. However, there are some other things that we could look at doing. Let's see, namely ground attack weapons for these medium bombers. Do you have an upgrade? No. Have I already upgraded the bombers down here? I have. We can upgrade the core down here, defending location, with some better AA defenses for what that's worth. We don't have anything to upgrade on any of the fighters. We do have a Mexican core that will probably be shipped out eventually to upgrade with the anti-air defense, so that wouldn't be very expensive. That leaves us with 180 MPPs. The strategic bombers can be upgraded with the heavy bombers upgrade, which will allow them to have better defensive values against fighters and AA defenses, while also being able to do more as a strategic bomber. Again, for what that's worth, because we don't know if that's actually going to be very, very handy to us or not, due to our excess of just everything. Let's go ahead and upgrade our garrisons at this point. Effective? Maybe, maybe not. However, it is possible, and we don't have a lot of them to upgrade. So might as well just do it, because we still end with about 105 MPPs. Research-wise, we have nothing else to get into. We're fully committed to research diplomacy. We have all of our chits still in Venezuela, 25% chance. Hasn't procced once, by the way. Oh, okay, we can go upgrade the Panama garrison, even though we never have to worry about that against AI. We're just so far ahead of the curve right now in the game that I just don't care. It's so easy to spend points on these little things you might otherwise avoid. Brings me down to 11 MPPs, yet I've now upgraded pretty much everything I can, except maybe giving MacArthur better anti-air, which he doesn't need. The Soviets are going to have a fun time in front of them now that they're the ones being offensive in a winter. We have one diplomatic chit that we can assign with them, and we do have the ability to actually dedicate that somewhere. Unlike the UK, which is far more stretched thin, we will go ahead and put that into Sweden, because again, there's just not many other places that are worth putting it. Might as well go ahead and assign it up to 20% chance between us and the UK, USSR and the UK. We did finish the logistics research. I will go ahead and research some more logistics in that case. We could potentially look at recruiting another HQ like I was thinking so that we could fill in both sides. It would be very expensive, but it could also be very worth it. It is 390 MPPs with all upgrades. I will go ahead and get it, I believe. The winter is not going to be a time of massive pushes or anything. If we can get an HQ to each side, we can really fill in the gaps of our command structure and make sure we are proceeding forward with efficiency. Now that a need for a human wave has pretty much passed, and efficiency really is just what we need in order to actually make more and better progress as we come into a bit of a smaller front, as the UK and its colonies will be handling a push into Italy. The Russians will be handling the push directly into Germany, and the UK is pushing from the west, so we're going to be concentrating a lot of troops into much tinier spaces. So more troops is now the last thing we need. More HQs is exactly what we need. Mobility would be fantastic, and it looks like that will be finishing soon. But not soon enough. We have many advances that we can do over here. Unfortunately, the first tanks is too far out of supply to actually get any upgrades past 8, which sucks. Sucks. However, we do have some more progress we can make. We'll go and, I don't know who I want to go looking down here for the time being, but I'll send the 5th tanks down here just to secure the town. It's pretty safe to me. Securing Hamburg could do some good work on destroying German national morale, that's for sure. If I'm going to send anyone forward to do this, I guess I'll send the 5th tanks forward to investigate in that region. Might make them react by trying to defend over here as well. The 1st tanks can probably go that direction as well. It's not going to be able to reinforce back here, and would really have to stay back here for a while to actually be able to. We want to make sure someone can land over here, and that might be best done by this corps. We'll go ahead and move this corps forward and attack the enemy fighters that are defending the north side of Berlin. Pretty terrible defense, by the way. We'll attack with the 1st mechanized that's on the front, dealing 4 damage and forcing the fighters to retreat to Hamburg, meaning there was nothing on Hamburg. Meaning if I keep pushing this way, they're going to have to scramble, so I will send the 1st tanks across the north coast here because clearly it's not defended enough. Damn, if we had mobility, we could make it all the way down here to Stettin. And this is really where we're going to need the efficiency from this HQ. I can't make it down there, but I can make it near there. So let's go ahead and start moving our asses down in that direction. A lot of these armies and stuff down here have gotten what upgrades they can. Yeah, because no mobility can be acquired. So we'll progress with what we can. Our tanks can move up further as well. And we mainly want to focus this northern group on just getting to and around Berlin while holding the sides, while this group handles the issue that presents itself, I guess. I mean, it's not much of an issue. We'll go ahead and attack the medium bombers currently entrenching at Lublin. I believe they just reinforced last time. And then we'll go ahead and move you forward around Warsaw. We can actually just go right past the river here and reach more and more planes that are shoring up their defenses of all fucking things. We do need to still worry about this tank. Alright, this tank is still here. So its supplies will run out soon, but it still has some. So it is still something to be worried about. For now, let's see what we can do. I'll go ahead and send this corps up to the south where it can look across the river. Okay, no, its supplies are actually out already. Alright, let's move this 22nd Army forward and attack it, dealing 3 damage, better than the 2 it said we would. Move the 3rd Army forward and attack it, dealing 1 damage, worse than the 2 it said we would. Let's now attack with the 3rd Corps, dealing 2 damage, not taking any damage in any of these attacks, which is absolutely fantastic. I don't want to push back in any circumstance, so we'll take the Moscow Corps and go ahead and finish off the enemies here, which is fantastic, as I was saying. We'll take the HQ and move it up here, as the HQ would probably benefit the most from being up there. The Western fighters can probably follow us this way. Let's see, the Baltic fighters are going to go to Danzig. The first Red fighters are honestly probably just good where they are. Their main problem is just that they're not attached to an HQ, but they can like maybe try to stay along the coast or something. I'll figure that out later. The AA would be helped by moving up near the HQ. For now, we can just move the fighters up towards the HQ to cover our units with as much air as possible. 3 and 3 to each offensive seems to be the way to do it for me right now. Let's see what else we have. We can move the 13th Army behind Warsaw, coming close to encircling it at this rate, and in fact, I could get a corps around the back of it. I really could. Oh yeah, this one, none of them actually have done their strikes yet. Huh. Alright, let's send this corps around the back, and then send this corps around here to attack the enemy air at Lodz. The supplies might be getting stressed here, but that's okay. Everything I need to be protected is still generally protected, and all the different directions in which I'm pushing should be confusing the fuck out of them as well as scaring them. I wish I could just march this AA right up to the plains and just like have that be a fight. That would be hilarious. I will move it up there nonetheless, just to have it take its position. Since the Axis have been so willing to leave an HQ with the responsibility of defending Berlin out in the open, I thought I might do them a flavor and drive up and go beat the shit out of it. Dealing 3 damage, taking none with this mechanized that they were just recently attacking up on the front. Their zone of control is going to make it hard to do much else here. The fighters from Romania here could also be killed probably pretty easy. We're probably getting through a lot of their morale really quickly once things are going to start dying like crazy over here. So yeah, sadly nobody can get directly up to there to get another shot in. But with Armored Train and Rifle Corps coming forward, we have a good chance of things. Hell, if we cut this rail line right here, these 2 units will have absolutely no way to get out. Haha, that's what I'm realizing. They'll have absolutely no way to get out. Let's see. So we'll want to move some stuff up. The Armored Train is a fair one to move up to the very fronty front. That's a thing that makes sense to say. We'll take the Rifle Corps, and we'll go ahead and... Well, first we'll move the army forward. How about that? Then we'll go cut the line and hold the fortress, defending what is supposed to be, I guess, against us, but now defending from any retreating Germans. That'll be nice. That'll be pretty handy. Supply here is going to get really weird, really fucking quick. I can tell you that for sure. We'll drive up near the paratroopers, we'll go across the river, and see our odds still aren't the greatest. However, we still can go get some attacks off. Dealing no damage, unfortunately, with that strike. We will take the light tanks and go ahead and attack the enemy paratroopers anyway, failing that dice roll completely. We were supposed to deal 1, take 1, and we ended up dealing none and taking 2. Highly unfortunate. However, the 11th Army is on its way. We have more that can be on its way as well, corps and such. We'll take the 1st Corps and move it down this way. We do need to make sure that something remains to defend over here. Like, we can't just send fucking everything down there so long as there's a threat to worry about over here. But we could also try to just eliminate Warsaw, which we're kind of close to doing, but we can't. So let's go ahead and attack the plains at Lodz some more instead. That might just be a better use of my money. We've dealt 2 damage there. This army can't even hurt anything at Lodz, which is unfortunate. Not much we can do about it. These armies and stuff will probably react and leave their cities if I wait long enough. I will keep this corps here for the time being as a defensive fixture. I will move this tank up, the shock tanks with the HQ. I will move this corps forward to try to catch it up to the front. We have some great pushes going. We're taking a lot of land, And we pretty much just cut Sweden's entire income to Germany. Like, this convoy is done. After this turn, they won't be able to send anything down there at all. So that is some good work. It's going to take several turns, especially in the winter, to blast through all these defenses at Berlin, especially without superior air power. We do have a lot of air power over here. Even though we don't necessarily have any good way to use these planes, I could start getting them moving and just trying to bomb the shit out of Berlin. Even if it's inefficient, it will still do damage, right? Especially with all my fighters up on the front. So I'm going to start moving all these bombers up as well. Flying some down and around Memel. And Allenstein getting ready to head further west. Will they'll be able to try to bomb Berlin, although the amount of fighters might make that difficult. Now, on this front, we have quite a situation. Yeah, alright. So, the enemy at Braslav, who escaped his town that had no supply, just to take one that I stepped off of, well, he doesn't have much going for him. He's, once again, almost out of supply. He's barely entrenched. We'll go ahead and just attack with the mechanized unit. This time not dealing any damage at all, which sucks, but we have armored warfare, so mechanized can attack again, and still completely failing their dice rolls. What the fucking shit, man? Well, that's just fucking terrible. Why is it so bad? I don't know. Here. Let's go ahead and attack. This is across the river, so it's not the best. With the army to this enemy corps sitting on, however you say this name, reading white on white is never easy. We will take this mechanized and use it to cut the way out and fully surround this corps now. That should definitely help our odds. We don't need to worry too much about supplies because this is all likely to fall to us very, very soon. Corps can move pretty far forward. We'll take the first guard army. Doesn't have any upgrades it can get. We'll move it forward and have it attack the enemy Italians here, dealing 2 damage. Taking 1 damage off the elite reinforcements. We'll attack with the 4th Corps here, which did at least a little bit of damage. Didn't see how much. We're going to then just take Lwów with it, securing and surrounding all of these enemy forces, some of which will be out of supply very, very quickly. Others will last a little bit longer. Hell, even these guys still have supply from this one town, but their supply is faltering, and that is affecting their overall combat efficiency. Let's move this corps forward to attack the Italians, dealing 1 more damage, taking 1 damage, which is always unfortunate. You never want to take damage. Let's see here. We can reinforce this army. Might as well. We have overwhelming power down here. Let's upgrade infantry weapons on the 43rd Army. The corps at Uman cannot get very far, so we'll take the 1st Red Banner Army and send it around to obliterate the remaining Italians, getting a national morale bonus. Hell yeah. We will take, let's see, what will we take and where will we go? We'll send this HQ right to about here, meaning we're going to probably want someone to protect him from something. So we'll move one of these corps up. Not sure which one. Let's send this one. Move that up to protect the HQ. The anti-air can also move to protect, well, things, not the HQ, because the HQ is too far. Well, not unless we move things up, which we still can do, actually, yeah. Not a lot of damage to be scored on this enemy German army, unfortunately. We can push this corps forward this way, so we will. And so that will hold back how far this one can push. For now, we'll just reinforce these 2 corps that are staring down the enemy German army here. That should be good enough for now. We'll take this rifle corps and we'll send it up near Cowell, however the hell you say this, to maybe scare this anti-air into running away. I think it's been proven that even the AI has morale that you can shake. We'll upgrade this mechanized unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This still isn't quite far enough in for me to think the paratroopers could accomplish very much where they are, unfortunately. I'd love to deal with this corps. It's just not the easiest thing to do so. We'll go ahead and attack the Stalingrad Corps for what it's worth. That did not work out at all for us, but then we're going to push that corps forward so we can move an army into its rear, dealing 1 damage against the enemies and taking none. We don't have a whole lot in the way of armies down here, do we? No, we don't. do have a lot in the way of tank targets, this area can actually not be entrenched at all. Interesting. So in that case, I will move forward this anti-tank and move forward this anti-tank. And we will reinforce the Kiev fighters, which took a little bit of damage. This frees us up to use 2 tanks as we see fit. I'll send the first guard tank here, the shock heavy tanks, and attack the enemies at Brasov, dealing 2 damage, taking 1 damage off the elites, but now we have 2 attacks with our tanks. Hell fucking yeah, and just like that, the city of Brasov falls to us fairly easily. So we'll move the mechanized up to go take it, to give it a good spot to repair. The value of this oil field is not nearly as good yet in our hands as it was for our enemies, but even so, we'll go ahead and move this corps forward to take hold of the front here. It actually has its upgrade, so we can hopefully do some good work while it's up there. This cavalry corps cannot get very far, so I'll probably move this mechanized back even further so that we can send the cavalry corps up further. We have a light tank unit that we can send ahead. Some damage that we can do if we're really trying to blast through this enemy unit. I think I will go ahead and take that chance. Let's go ahead and start with you from the south. That went terribly. Do it again. Okay. Alright, then near equal trades there, but now we can attack from the rear. Still equal trades. Come on, I need 1 more damage without damage to get an equal trade. Alright, coming out. 1 on top. Well, it's maybe not an equal trade overall since mechanized costs way more than a core, but it's getting me somewhere. We can reinforce the Sevastopol Corps as well. That's something we can do. We want to focus the northwest push more than we want to focus anything going southwest for the time being. So I will take our light tanks moving up to further surround this enemy unit. Unfortunately, not able to do any good damage against it because light tanks versus infantry in a town that have upgrades, whereas my tanks do not have upgrades, and what do you know? That's not the best recipe for accomplishing things. The Soviets do have a corps and a special forces that they can deploy somewhere. I believe I will send the corps down south, where we could definitely use some more manpower, and the special forces will go up north, where we can use some better manpower. We will move this corps forward, although it's behind a bit of a human barrier. I guess we can move it up through the forest. Since the enemies have slowly been pulling back from this direction, we can push them in that direction. We can upgrade our engineers with something as well. 115 MPPs remaining. Not a whole lot we can do with it unless we want to reform some garrisons, which we could. It's not really very important. We do have all the HQs paid for, though, so I guess there's little harm. We'll go ahead and reform the garrisons. The Przemysl garrison and the Brest-Litovsk garrison can now be reformed. That brings us down to 25 MPPs. We still haven't operated the corps right here. We can still afford to operate the Mongolian corps. Alright, we could use some more bodies up north. Let's send that along the rail line up north then, and have it help. And with that, I do believe we have our entire turn, and we are out of time. So for now, thank you guys very much for watching. Next time, we will push it over into either late January or early February of 1943. I will see you guys over there.